You realize, of course, you're naked.
Naked, dressed. I don't see any difference.
You ought to sit here. There's a difference.
Seinfeld pushed a lot of boundaries, and one of the key figures doing it behind the scenes was a comedy writer named Larry Charles. He's also been a part of, get this, these shows: Curb Your Enthusiasm, Mad About You, Entourage, Borat as a film, among many others. Now, in his new memoir, Comedy Samurai, he is sharing his story. I met Charles on New York Street, which is actually the Paramount lot in Los Angeles. And we talked about his career and the lessons learned from a lifetime of making people laugh.
Cool.
Well, where? Tell it.
It's moot. They're going out of business.
It's not moot.
That's
They're
moot.
moot. That's not moot.
How's that not moot?
When it comes to some of the best-known sitcoms and outrageous characters on TV and in film,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
you'll often find that Larry Charles is involved.
I didn't go into show business to have security. I like the idea of risk.
Taking big risks has led to some big upsides, many outlined in his new memoir, Comedy Samurai, 40 Years of Blood, Guts, and Laughter.
The samurai serves the master. And I, for some reason, have had this incredible luck to serve from Bob Dylan to Sacha Baron Cohen to Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, of course. I mean, they are the masters.
Charles's path to success was set in motion at a young age, growing up in a working-class neighborhood in Brooklyn.
I grew up in a part of Brooklyn that Woody Allen's from, Lenny Bruce is from, Larry David's from, Mel Brooks is from this area. Now, and why that is, it's almost a mystery.
Did you think you were funny?
I never thought I was funny, but I was drawn to what was funny, and I loved laughing and being surprised.
While living in Los Angeles, he met actor Darrow Igus while selling jokes outside the Comedy Store.
It's Friday!
Igus scored him an audition for Fridays, an ABC show modeled after Saturday Night Live. He met future Seinfeld collaborators Larry David and Michael Richards in the writer's room.
Every writer on that show, and me particularly, wanted to break the rules and do stuff that had never been done before. You know, I didn't know that Larry David was going to wind up being who he was. We just connected on Fridays, and then the show ended, and we were both unemployed for years.
Wait a second. I never baited a hook with a rye before.
David would later hire Charles as a writer to join the original staff of Seinfeld. Scenes from the Rye episode and from the limo
The jig is up. It was a bad jig to begin with. We never should have started this jig.
were filmed right here at Paramount.
We had a little bit of fun with Kramer with the garbage cans. You could almost believe the illusion.
There were certain things that became iconic about the Kramer character that didn't exist until you sort of started to shape it.
Let me know what it is and I'll order it.
I thought this is a character that could be developed. So I wrote a story that included Kramer into the story, and it was really successful.
Do you ever yearn? Yearn? Do I yearn?
And that opened the door, so to speak, for Kramer's expansion.
In addition to developing the characters of Kramer and Elaine,
You know what your problem is? Your standards are too high.
I went out with you.
he wrote key episodes like The Fix-Up, which earned him his first Emmy.
That's because my standards are too low.
He was nominated again for The Outing.
All right, tell her. Go ahead.
Tell her what?
You know, about us.
Are you crazy?
Finally, this idea of not that there's anything wrong with it came up,
True.
and that seemed to liberate the episode,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
that we could say almost anything and go for these big laughs as long as we covered it by saying not that there's anything wrong with it.
Charles would later develop one of his most infamous films,
Hello, my name is Borat.
Borat, a mockumentary starring actor Sacha Baron Cohen as a fictional journalist from Kazakhstan touring the U.S.
People want something original. They want to be surprised. And this was a movie that absolutely surprised them to the point of shock. And I think we tapped into that trigger that usually is reserved for crying or screaming like horror movies or sad movies. Here was that trigger being used for laughter. I'm always shocked by that.
Those moments of humor, he says, can happen when least expected. Talk to me about what you want people to come away with in reading your book.
The concept of gratitude and acceptance. I was forced to slow it down for a second.
Because you had a heart attack.
Yeah, and I was in the ambulance, and it's like I'm looking out the window of the ambulance.
So you're described being in the ambulance, but having never seen the streets of LA.
Right. It's like, wow, this is great. Look how beautiful this is. I'm never going to see it again. And the absurdity it was not lost on me. It was very important to recognize the gratitude, recognize the temporary quality of life, how silly it is, and yet how completely profound at the same time.
Boy, Vlad. I've always seen his name on the credits.
Right.
I didn't know anything. So talented.
So talented.
I love the title of the book, Comedy Samurai.
Right.
I think that describes him
Serving
perfectly.
the master of comedy.
Yes.
And he's so cerebral, but incredibly funny.
Yes.
And I think he gives us the gift of now appreciating life in the moment without having to have the heart attack where you're staring out the window.
Yeah, staring out the window from the gurney and going, wow, Los Angeles is so beautiful, I'm never gonna see it again.
But I really do believe humor and comedy is a sign of intelligence. I think you have to be really intelligent to do the jokes that they do in the way that they do them.
That's right.
It's the writing and the delivery, all of it. But
Yeah.
Larry Charles.
Amazing character, yes.
Nice speech, Vlad. Really interesting.
Very nice.